Alright, say something there. It's still not working. Do you think you found what the problem is? Let me test. No, still not working. This is so annoying. Hopefully, give it a go.
Okay, I'm back.
Alright, let's test it one more time.
Okay.
Well, hey, it works. Let's go.
Awesome.
Alright, well, I just ping everyone and put it in media links.
Perfect. Okay.
Alright, hello everyone and welcome back. It's that time of the week. It's time for some more LSR. Today it's Group 2 on the Saturday. And alongside me today, I actually have Formula Jonah, who was able to make it this week. So, Formula Jonah, how are you doing? And how are you feeling about today's sprint qualifying format at Austria?
Well, I can tell you, I am so happy to be back in the commentary box, commentating with you on some action here in Lightning Speed Racing. As you did mention, it is Group 2, and we're back for another race here in Austria, our first ever time racing here, and this is also a sprint race as well, like you said. So yeah, I'm doing good, hope you're doing good as well, and I'm just excited to get back into the action here today in LSR.
Yeah, well, we're getting right into the action straight away. Since it is the sprint qualifying format, we are doing a one-shot qualifying session and then a 25% race. So since we can only ride on board with one person, I think we're going to ride on board with SSL Mango now in the Red Bull. And it looks like him and Ikos Yuki have really been battling it out. And they showed that last weekend at Monza, where they were in a league of their own, really pushing each other to the limits. And I'm pretty sure Ikos Yuki actually came out on top in that battle, and it looks like SL Mango is actually disconnected from the session. I think he's having some internet problems, so that's not good to see. He'll want to be getting into the session, back into the session as fast as possible, because he cannot afford to lose any points or any qualifying positions to Ikos Yuki if he wants to contend for that championship. But across the line, Ikos Yuki with a 104 flat. He is going to take pole position for today's sprint qualifying. And King Benny is going to be starting alongside him on the front row with a 104.2. I think he might be reserved because I did not see him any of the other weeks. Zayek actually making a surprise appearance in the top 3 in that Haas with a 104.6. The reigning champion, Elian Bayan in P4, Worry Cloud in P5, and then we'll get to see the rest of the grid. But Zayek up in P3, we've obviously saw him struggle a little bit at Monza. Are you a bit surprised as I am with that?
Well, I'm very happy to see Zayek up in P3. That's a really good performance by the Haas driver. I think he's got some pace to show today. He's been really improving throughout the season, you know, and I think he's got some really good pace. So Yuki on pole, I think Yuki showed some great pace. King Benny in the Williams, he is going to be P2. As he's the reserve driver. Elian Bayan on the medium compound tires with Worry Cloud in P5. The two Alpine reserve drivers in 6th and 7th, Husky in P8, and Zudi rounding off the 9 drivers that actually set a lap time. So I'm actually quite surprised to see everyone else had some sort of issue. They had some sort of spin or invalidation. So just proving how difficult this track is. While it is quite small, it's the smallest track on the Formula 1 calendar, it is quite difficult at the same time. But I've also heard there is a wet race, so we could be seeing some very interesting action out on track. I think these drivers just got to make sure that they keep it clean, keep it respectful, and go out there and have some fun.
Yeah, and as you said there with Elian, actually on the medium compound tires in the top 4, as only 9 people were able to set a lap time, 2 of them DNFing, and one of those DNFs was actually SSL Mango, who disconnected from the session, if I'm not mistaken. Hopefully he can get back into the lobby in time. But a lot of people invalidating their lap times. That's 5 people who's invalidated their lap times. And obviously, with the one-shot quali, you're just jumping straight in there. You have to try and get a lap in. It has to be fast, and it has to be within the track limits, and that's very difficult to do. And it looks like IRS Pro Striker, Quick Killers, Danny Stiller, Not Sir Vapor, and Derry actually all invalidating their lap times. So I think Pro Striker and Not Sir Vapor are definitely going to be 2 drivers to watch, starting towards the back of the grid. But as you said, Ekos Yuki on pole position with a 104 flat. So obviously, with this one-shot qualifying, these drivers tried to push as hard as possible, but a lot of people messing up their laps. And I think Ekos Yuki definitely could have gone faster. But obviously, one-shot quali, you only get one shot. And as you can see there, is actually in P9 Zudi with a 120.5. So some people actually did mess up their lap, but they were able to finish it without invalidating or DNF. So this is definitely going to be an interesting sprint qualifying session with the rain. And if that rain actually is towards the end of the Grand Prix, maybe this could benefit Elian, who is on the medium compound tires, but since it is a 25% race, tire wear isn't going to be insanely high on the softs or the mediums. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see what happens. But apparently someone's actually breaking the lobby, because I think it has definitely glitched. The timer to actually start the Grand Prix hasn't started. But yeah, there you go. Breakfast King sadly has to leave the lobby to actually get the lobby going. Hopefully he can join back in time. But yeah, it looks like the drivers are now going to be getting out onto the grid and starting the formation lap for this Grand Prix. And as you can see, as we come to the track, it is going to be heavy rain for this sprint qualifying. So I think the drivers will be on the full wet tires. Now, that is going to be very difficult for drivers trying to get traction off of the start. I think there's going to be quite a bit of wheel spin and maybe a bit of carnage into turn 1. So, Jonah, what do you think is going to happen in this turn 1 with Yuki on pole, the reserve driver of Benny King, I think it was, in P2, Zayek in P3, and obviously Elian qualifying on the mediums doesn't matter as much now, since it is actually the intermediate conditions.
Well, this is going to be an interesting start. I could say that for sure. I think a lot of drivers will be looking to get a great start today, but at the same time, it's going to be quite difficult with the rain out there. And I think this particular session is going to be great to show how skilled these drivers are. This is going to be a different sort of race, because usually in the dry, it's a very different skill level, really, because these drivers don't really have the same, I'd say, pace in the wet versus the dry. I think that's just how racing is, so it's a totally different type of driving. But I expect a lot of these drivers will have the pace, they'll have the opportunity, they'll have the consistency to keep up with each other in the Grand Prix itself and in the rain as well. So we'll see how this all works out. But yeah, expecting a very interesting Grand Prix here today in LSR. Hopefully a great one, of course, with Yuki on pole. I expect him to hopefully get a great start. Elian in P4, I expect him to get a great start as well. Can Zayek stay up in those top positions? That'd be great for him in today's race. And also the other drivers starting further down the grid, probably where they didn't want to be, but they did have invalidations, which of course affected their position in the qualifying to the Grand Prix itself. So I expect a lot of drivers making their way through the field from the back, and also at the front we're going to see some great racing as well. No DRS as well, so watch out for drivers making overtakes into special places without that DRS assistance. So 18 laps await us for the sprint race, and we're ready to go for the LSR Group 2 race, round 3, the first sprint race of the season. One of 2 races that are sprint races during the entire second season of Lightning Speed Racing. But I'm going to allow you to take this away as we get ready for the start of the first sprint race of Season 2.
Yeah, and it's definitely going to be an exciting one. This group always delivers a spectacle, and obviously in the rain without the power of the DRS, like you said, it's going to be very hard to overtake. So track position is going to be absolutely everything. These drivers are going to be wanting to get the best start possible to try and promote themselves as many positions as they possibly can. But the Alpine of Danny Boy, now lining up on the grid, and it looks like we are ready to get underway. So what kind of start is it going to be for these drivers? We have 5 red lights. They're gone and we're away, and it looks like Rory Cloud has actually jumped the start now. He is going to get a drive-through penalty for the sprint qualifying. It's a decent start for Yuki as he gets away quite nicely. Elian and Zayek going side by side into turn 1. Zayek has to go wide to leave the space for Elian. Danny Boy has actually moved up into P5. SL Mango, who is actually disconnected from the session, is now up into P6. And it looks like a lot of drivers having some issues off the start there. And it looks like side by side with Danny Boy and Zayek. Looks like they're banging wheels there as Danny Boy gets a bit of a bad exit, getting a lot of wheel spin out of there. King Benny getting very close to the back of Ekos Yuki and could be challenging for pole position in this sprint qualifying as a reserve. I'm sure he'd love to be fighting at the top like he is right now. Elian is actually outside of a second gap to the top 2 now, so he's losing a little bit of pace to those guys. And yeah, it looks like Not So Vapor has made up quite a few positions. Iris Pro Striker not actually making up any positions on this race start. It looks like Acid Masters has fallen down a lot of positions. He's all the way down from P7 to P14. And it looks like SL Mango's Ghost is going very fast compared to these drivers as it's up into P4. But it looks like it's actually had a spin. I think maybe Mango has taken control. No, it's still the Ghost car, so I really don't know what's going on there. But yeah, that was a really good start for people like Elian, making a crucial position change, getting up into P3. It looks like Danny Boy is actually going down the inside now into turn 3 on Zayek, and he's just about left enough space on the exit curve there, and it's a pretty decent exit for Danny Boy. But Zayek is going to fight back now. He has the ERS, and can he go around the outside into turn 4? Danny Boy has the inside line nice and late on the brakes, and it looks like really getting squeezed out by Danny Boy, and he actually gets a really bad exit, a lot of wheel spin there, and he's hit into the side of his teammate, and that has sent him into the gravel, and that is such a shame to see. Zayek, who started P3 and really got squeezed out by Danny Boy there, got a bit of wheel spin out of turn 4, made contact with his teammate, and is down into turn 14. So Jonah, what do you think of that start and that sad event for Zayek falling down to P14?
Well, of course, it's incredibly sad to see him going down the order there. He was doing so well, battling away with Danny Boy, as now we see Not So Vapor going for the move on Zudi. Round the outside goes the Mercedes driver, but the McLaren is actually going to try and make the move on the ghosted Aston Martin car. Not So Vapor looking to make that move on the McLaren of Zudi. These two have fought each other before in previous leagues, and they'll continue to battle with clean racing here today. Down into turn 3 we go. The Mercedes and the McLaren are side by side. Not Sir Vapor going for the switchback maneuver as Pro Striker joins the battle as well. He gets a little bit too much of the power out of turn 3 as here comes Not Sir Vapor to the inside line. He's going to try and go side by side with Zudi. This is absolutely incredible racing as we exit turn 4. Not Sir Vapor gets the overtake and is now up into P6 from further down the grid. Meanwhile, Breakfast King does join the session. Great to see him back into the session there, as now we see Zudi and Pro Striker side by side. Down into turn 7 we go. Here comes Zudi, here comes Pro Striker. Pro Striker going around the outside of the McLaren, but Zudi's not giving his position up anytime soon, and he gets the position. Pro Striker down to 8th, Zudi up to 7th, and that was great battling there, and it will continue on for many more laps. But going back to what you were saying earlier on with Zayak, it was incredibly unfortunate to see him spinning off there, as it looks like he got too much on the power, hit his teammate. Of course, it wasn't intentional at all. It was just a miscommunication in terms of the car and himself. You know, it seems like he got too much on the power there, which is something that all drivers do. So it's how it goes. We have Pro Striker continuing the battle with Zudi. Zudi goes off the track a little bit, so Pro Striker will have the better traction out of turn 2. Into turn 3 we go. Zudi trying to challenge him, continue to challenge him, but Pro Striker gets the better exit and keeps ahead for now. Meanwhile, Breakfast King has rejoined the session and is now trying to get ahead of that ghosted car of Mango, who is surprisingly keeping up with the rest of the field. You would think that the AI would not be very good, but it is actually keeping up with the rest of the field, which is quite surprising. Danny and Husky, the two AlphaTauris, just outside the top 10. They're trying to get into the action as well, but a pretty good start as we enter lap 4. And meanwhile, Yuki and Benny also having a great battle, as Benny is right behind that Mercedes.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be definitely a big battle for the top 2, and as you can see, all the way from Pro Striker to Husky, it's quite a big train, as it actually looks like Husky has made a mistake there. He's gone into the wall in the 3rd sector. Has he broken his wing? Does he have to come in for a front wing change? And it looks like he's going to stay out, so it looks like might have just gotten on the power a bit early and actually went onto the grass there. He is now down into P14 and has been overtaken by the Haas of Zayak, but it looks like King Benny is now actually up into the lead, and Ekos Yuki is trying to challenge him now. Ekos Yuki is retaking the lead. He's gotten a better exit out of turn 3. Elian trying to get into the battle now, but Elian did just get a 3-second time penalty, which is really going to hinder his result in this sprint qualifying session. But it looks like King Benny really trying to get up close and personal to Yuki now, trying to make a move for the lead of the Grand Prix, and he's going to continue on this battle, and let's see if maybe Elian can get into this fight too, as it looks like Ekos Yuki went a little bit wide there, had a compromised exit, and as you can see, King Benny is just 1.5 tenths behind coming into these final 2 turns. Is he going to be looking for a move down into turn 1 or possibly turn 3, which is a big overtaking spot, but it looks like Elian Bayan getting a bit too early on the power there, getting quite a bit of wheel spin out of the final turn. This has allowed Danny Boy to catch up to just 0.2 of a second behind now, so that's compromised Elian a little bit, but it looks like he's still within a 1 second gap of King Benny, so he hasn't lost too much time to the top 2, and it looks like the top 5 are all going to be battling it out for the lead of this Grand Prix. It looks like Ekos Yuki having to defend from King Benny there, as it looks like King Benny gets a great exit out of turn 3. Can he challenge Ekos Yuki coming into turn 4 now? And he's going to have the inside line, but it looks like he's actually made the move stick before turn 4. Is Ekos Yuki going to fight back? Yes, he is. He has the inside line for turn 4. He gives King Benny the big squeeze there, but it looks like King Benny just about staying within the track limits, and he is now going to go down the inside into turn 5, and they're still going side by side through this middle sector, and coming into turn 6 and 7. Ekos Yuki is trying to hold it around the outside, which then turns the inside line for turn 7, but it looks like King Benny has gotten the better of him. King Benny is now into the lead. Ekos Yuki has a little look down the inside there into the second last corner, but he is not going to commit to that move, as it's very dangerous to go side by side into there. But wow, they went side by side for that entire middle sector, with King Benny, the reserve, coming out on top. He is now up into P1. And it looks like there's actually a battle going on for P4 as well, as it actually looks like Quick Killers has gotten a 3-second time penalty, and that is really going to hurt him in this race. He might not be able to challenge for a podium now. Is he going to be looking for a move on Danny Boy into turn 3? He has a look down the inside. It actually makes contact with the back of Danny Boy there, but I don't think he's broken his wing because of that, thankfully. Is Ecos Yuki going to be looking for a move down to turn 4? He's in the slipstream. He pulls out of the slipstream. He has a look down the inside into turn 4, but he's going to stay out of that move, and he's going to maintain P2 coming into the middle sector. So, wow, this battle for the lead is getting quite intense now. Elian making a mistake, obviously, in the final corner, and King Benny taking the lead of the Grand Prix. And do you think this trend could actually go on into the main race, and if we could have an exciting sprint and main race?
Oh, absolutely. I've been watching this battle for a while now, and I just want to say, real quickly, before I answer your question, I want to say, Drivers Racing right now, you guys are doing an absolutely amazing job, especially for a Group 2. I just want to say, like, this is something that we don't see that often in League Racing, where a Division 2 is this close in fighting. It is just incredible, and I just want to say thank you so much for keeping it clean, and let's continue this going forward. And actually, to continue your question, yes, I definitely think this is going to continue. Yuki's going to send it down the inside on Benny. He goes for the move. Benny's going to try and keep it going. It's a Leclerc Verstappen incident there, but they keep it going, and it is clean racing all the way. Looks like these drivers are having to cope with these difficult conditions. Braking is very difficult, especially into turn 3. Now into turn 4 we go. Yuki will keep ahead. Benny trying to get the better traction out of turn 4. He tries to get right in the back of Yuki, and he's going to go to the outside. Oh, a little bit of contact between the two drivers there. I think Benny just had too much speed. He tried to pull to the left. Yuki got defending that line though, so it was all good racing there. No contact, no damage, I don't think. But these guys continuing on a 5-way fight for first position right now, as Elian is in the fight as well. Danny Boy now right behind Elian. He's 2/10 behind the Ferrari driver. He could be making that overtake in the next few turns on the Ferrari, but Elian right there looking for his first sprint race victory, as I do believe he hasn't won a sprint race quite yet in LSR, as Not Sir Vapor now sets the fastest lap of the race. Could Not Sir Vapor join this 5-way fight and make it a 6-way fight for the race victory here in the sprint qualifying session? Benny now going for the move. Yuki pulls to the inside line. Benny's going to try and go for the outside, which will most likely give him the better traction out of turn 3, as Yuki will get ahead. Meanwhile, Elian is, I think, made a mistake, and he is down to P5. Danny moved up into 3rd position. Quick Killers is now into 4th position. Elian down to 5th. That's going to hurt his race a little bit, as it seems like the rain, and maybe this is just me, but the rain seems to be clearing up, as we see a nice little battle here for first continuing on, but it seems like the rain is starting to go a little bit, it's starting to, I'd say, dry up a little bit, especially into like turn 3, turn 4, as you see a lot of drivers kind of getting a little bit of a wheel spin into particular corners of the track, and it just seems like that the rain is starting to die down a bit. Is that just me though? Oh, hold on a second. Here comes King Benny on Yuki. Yuki either got a problem or he let him pass there. Kind of seems like he got either a bad exit out of that particular section, or he did let him pass, as Yuki will continue these battles. Meanwhile, Mango and Pro Striker swap positions. The Red Bull driver trying to get past the reserve Red Bull driver in today's race. It's usually Asena has that second Red Bull seat. As, oh, a little bit of contact. I heard that. That was between, I think, maybe Quick Killers and Yuki. Not exactly sure, though. But there was a little bit of contact there. Not exactly sure who it was with, though. But that 5-way battle continues on. Not Sir Vapor, meanwhile, has got the gap down to 1.6 seconds and trying to gain on the front pack here. Also, Mango still not in the session. I'm not sure if he's able to join back. It would be great if he can. It seems like he's having a little bit of internet issues here today, but we're now on lap 10. A few laps remain of the sprint race. Who will win it and start on pole for the 50% Grand Prix? Alrighty, and Moore, are you still there? I can't seem to hear you.
Oh, I'm very sorry. I had my microphone muted, but what I was trying to say was quick killers into P3 now. Danny Boy actually went side by side with him into turn 3. I think those were the two drivers that actually made contact. But quick killers actually has 6 seconds of time penalties though, so technically Danny Boy is still on the podium in this race and could be getting himself some nice points, as there are some points going for the sprint qualifying. It's 6 points for a race win, and that could be crucial in a championship battle between, I think it's Ecos Yuki, Elian, and SL Mango, who are all going to be going head to head for this championship in Season 2 of LSR in Group 2. But yeah, right now it looks like Ecos Yuki is just settling in behind King Benny. Might be thinking about saving up the ERS to possibly go for an attack later, but it actually looks like he's losing quite a bit of time to Benny, as SL Mango actually sets the fast lap of the Grand Prix. Has he joined back? It doesn't look like it. It looks like SL Mango is still ghosted. So I'm not sure if that's his. I think that might be his AI that's gone fastest out of all the drivers, and Not to Vapor has actually closed the gap down to the top 5 to just 1 second now. He's getting quite close to the back of Elian, who's actually going to go for the move on Danny Boy. I think Danny Boy has actually had a compromised exit there, maybe a bit of wheel spin out of turn 3, as it seems a lot of drivers are struggling with that in these wet conditions. Elian is now up into P4, but with those 6 seconds of time penalties, that is going to drop him down quite a few positions. But Ecos Yuki started to lose a little bit of time there to King Benny on the pit straight, but it looks like he's gained it all back. But he's had to use quite a bit of ERS, as King Benny actually defending the inside line coming into the final 2 turns. So he thought that maybe Ecos Yuki using quite a bit of his ERS to try and get the lead of the Grand Prix, as we now come on to lap 13. There's just 5 laps to go. It looks like Ecos Yuki using quite a bit of his ERS. He has a look down the inside, but he turns it off at the end of the straight. He does not want to be making any moves into turn 1, as that can go very wrong very quickly. But into turn 3 now, it looks like King Benny has actually gotten a pretty good exit out of turn 1. And he's going to be quite a bit ahead of Ecos Yuki. But Ecos Yuki goes for the big send into turn 3, leaves King Benny almost no space coming out of turn 3. And that was a very big dive bomb from Ecos Yuki. It looks like the move was not on at all, but he broke very late there. And King Benny trying to return the favor, but he cannot break that late into turn 4 without going a little bit wide. So Ecos Yuki, after a massive send into turn 3, is now up into the lead. And the ghost car of SL Mango is making its way through the field. It's now up into P6. But the battle for the lead of the Grand Prix continues, with Ecos Yuki down into turn 3 actually taking the lead. And what do you think of that move? That was a very big send from Ecos Yuki.
Yeah, I was very surprised that Yuki went for it, but I mean, fair play. It was a very courageous move, I'd say. It was a little late, I would say. I think he made the overtake. He goes a little bit wide there into turn 1. I think it was a little late from Yuki. I think he should have probably waited a little bit. He should have given it another lap, so he was closer to the Williams driver. As he didn't leave Benny too much room there. It could be also that the rain is dying down, so that could have affected his braking as well. So I wouldn't say it was like the best move, but it was courageous, and I mean, it worked out. No damage between the two drivers. Yuki now up into P1, and sometimes in racing, drivers have to do that. Sometimes they have to go for sends that aren't really there, and it's just kind of how it goes. You know, it's good racing. They continue on. Yuki now has the lead of the race, and now what Benny needs to do is start chasing after that Mercedes driver and start getting onto the back of him, so he has the opportunity to make that overtake on Yuki as fast as possible if he's going to be able to get up into P1 and start on pole for the upcoming 50% race. Another thing I quickly wanted to mention, I don't know this for sure, but I think Mango might be in his car right now. I think he's just ghosted, which is kind of odd to see. I don't know if he gets up into like P3 or something like that. I don't know if those points would be scored since he is ghosted, but I'm not exactly sure on that. particular situation, but I think he is in the car. As I tried to invite him, it also says that he has already joined the session. So, I don't know, I think Mango is in the car. But basically, it is more than 5 different drivers in the hunt for the overall victory right now, which is great to see. This is great battling going on between everyone. And, yeah, I think this will continue on. But besides the other drivers in the fight for the top 7, we also have some drivers battling away for some good positions. Pro Striker and Zudi in a nice battle here for 8th. Breakfast King, after unfortunately having to leave the session due to a internet glitch, it seems, is trying to make his way through the field. He's battling away with Danny in that AlphaTauri, Danny Stillers, that is. And I think they're having a great battle. Breakfast King will be looking to get a good result in the 50% races. It hasn't really gone his way in the sprint race today. Zayak recovering to 12th right now. I think he's going to be finishing there. Worried Cloud in P13 for Williams. It hasn't really been his day today, but he still is in the fight there. As Acid Masters in the Alpine, he's trying to make his way through the field as well, and Husky and Deary in those bottom positions right there. But meanwhile, Yuki has now got a 2.3 second gap to Benny there in the Williams. So I think that move was courageous. It maybe was not the best move, I'd say, but he got it, and he looks to be taking P1 and starting on pole for the actual race.
Yeah, I think the stewards will definitely have to look into that one. But as you were talking about SL Mango possibly being in the session, he actually locked up into turn 1, into turn 3, and pretty much confirming your suspicion of him actually being in the lobby. He's also picked up 6 seconds of time penalties as well. So I don't think a Ghost would do that, and I don't think a Ghost would have that much pace and actually be able to make its way up into P5. So I think SL Mango is definitely in the session now, but the game has decided to ghost him. But Ekos Yuki obviously making that crucial move into turn 3, and he's been able to pull away ever since. He's got a 2.5 second gap to King Benny behind, but King Benny is looking pretty good for a front row finish in the sprint qualifying session no matter what happens, because all the way down to P7 actually have time penalties. So I don't think he would be too worried about getting overtaken or trying to battle other cars. I think he's more concerned with just finishing this race and getting that P2 and that front row for the main race. But we are now on the penultimate lap of the Grand Prix, and the race is about to end. So any moves that need to be made have to be made now. And Elian is quite close to the back of Quick Killers, but SL Mango is also quite close to the back of Elian Byrne. As you can see, the penalties, Quick Killer and Elian both have 9 seconds, whereas SL Mango only has 6 seconds, so he might be qualifying a P3 in this session, with Danny Boy only having 3 seconds, so maybe it'll be Danny Boy in P3 in this session. But as you can see, SL Mango really pushing the limits of the tracks, and Ekos Yuki, since he started pulling away from King Benny, has obviously been pushing quite hard, and maybe with the dry line emerging, that's helped him set the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. But we are now on the final lap of this sprint qualifying session, and there's only so many turns to go. If the moves are going to be made, they're going to have to be made now. No one's close enough to make any overtakes into turn 3, but let's see how close these drivers are coming into turn 4. It looks like Mango gets a pretty decent exit off of turn 3. Could he be looking for a late send on Elian Byrne into turn 4? It does not look like it, and he's going to have to stay behind Elian coming into this middle sector. But it looks like IRS Pro Striker has actually made a mistake, and he's fallen all the way down to P11, and I'm not sure what's happened, but he's lost all of his pace. I think he might have had a spin and overheated his tires, as he's going very, very slowly down the main straight. Maybe he's ran out of fuel. Maybe he's under-fueled the car too much, but no matter whatever has actually happened, he is now down into P11 and going very slowly on track, and might actually be overtaken by the rest of the grid. But Ekos Yuki now comes across the line to get pole position for the 50% Grand Prix, and after making that move into turn 3, managed to make a 3.8 second gap and has secured pole position for himself and for Mercedes. The reserve driver of King Benny having a great debut so far. He's made himself he's got himself up on the front row, and by quite some bit, as the closest car to him was 6.8 seconds to Danny Boy, who actually ends up finishing P3 because of Elian Bain and Quick Killer's penalties. Quick Killer has qualified P4, Elian Bain P3. It looks like SL Mango made a mistake somewhere, because he's qualified all the way down in P7, if I'm not mistaken. So something obviously happened on that final lap, as we were looking at what was going on with his teammate, IRS Pro Striker. But as you can see, driver of the day is Quick Killers, who managed to get himself all the way up into P4, if I'm not mistaken. So that's a pretty good day out for himself and Haas. But there you go. There is Ikos Yuki holding his pole position trophy, we'll call it. But wow, what did you think of that sprint race? A lot of action up and down the field, and rain really spicing it up.
Yeah, that was a great race. Great consistency between everyone. I think that was great racing. I think Yuki and Benny showed off some incredible action out on track. But yeah, that's it. Danny Boy also up on the top 3 of the race. So Yuki will grab P1 with 6 points to his name. Fastest lap point doesn't really do anything, so 6 points to Yuki. King Benny will grab 4 points. Danny Boy will grab 3. Quick Killers will grab P4 with I do believe 2 points to his name. And Elian Bain will complete the top 5 with 1 point. And it looks like Elian has also left the session. We are getting a lot of internet issues, I think, between different drivers. I think all drivers are kind of having internet issues. I think Mango had some internet issues. I think Breakfast King and Elian, I think Acid and Deary also had some issues as well, which is a little unfortunate. But they will get back into the session. It will be all good. But we're heading now into the official race. A rain race ended up being a lot of overtaking. And if that just showed us what's to come, I am down for it. I am absolutely down for it, because, I mean, that was some excellent overtaking between everyone. Great battles, and that was in the rain as well. So who knows what could happen when the DRS comes and it's dry out there. And so it's going to be absolutely incredible. I could watch this for hours, you know. It's going to be absolutely incredible. I cannot wait to see what these drivers can do out on track. So what's going to be happening now, viewers, is the admins are going to be setting the grid. So that will take probably around 5, max 10 minutes, but probably around 5 minutes, somewhere around there. So stick around in the live stream. Join us for the 50% race, which is coming up very, very soon. And a few things I quickly want to mention as well is make sure if you are new to the LSR YouTube channel to subscribe. We've got lots more content coming your way, not just Group 2, but Group 1. And viewers, in just a few weeks' time, it will be the first race of Group 3. That's the GT division. And I'm going to try to get some commentary for that. Of course, the game doesn't allow us to do commentary, but we'll try and do it if there's space, because I think you can only have 16 people in the lobby. You can't have spectators unless there's an opening. So if there's an opening, there will be commentary. So look out for that. That's coming soon. So definitely subscribe. Like this video if you guys are enjoying the stream as well, and our commentary of the Group 2 action. And if you want to get into the league, if you want to race, if you want to commentate with us here in the booth, or just be a part of the league, be a part of our community, join the Discord server down in the description. There's a link there. So definitely go do that if you want to join the Lightning Speed Racing League. So what can we talk about as we head into the 50% race and more games?
Well, obviously that was an extremely exciting qualifying session in the wet without the DRS, and it might be wet for the main race, who knows, but we're expecting it to be dry and with the DRS, so it's going to be crucial to actually stay within that 1 second gap with 3 DRS straights in a row. You really have to be within that DRS if you want any chance of battling the car up in front of you. But after that sprint race, Ikos Yuki on pole position, King Benny really fighting that Mercedes very hard in that sprint qualifying. Will we see that in the main race? I have no idea, but hopefully we do, because King Benny could make a name for himself in this Group 2 and possibly get a full seat. We'll have to see. But Elian in P4, it looked like quite a few people struggling with the track limits, and that's definitely to be expected at a track like Austria. You really have to push the track limits. You have to be on the absolute knife's edge. You have to get on every curb and just about stay within the track limits. But that was obviously in the wet conditions, and if it is dry for the race, I think they might have an easier time. They might have a harder time, who knows, because they have now adjusted their braking points. They've adjusted their accelerating, their turn-ins. They've adjusted all of that to the wet conditions, and they are now going to have to adjust to the dry conditions, and they're going to have to adjust to it pretty quickly if it is dry, because it's obviously a 50% race, and you want to be getting the best start possible, because if Ikos Yuki or King Benny or anyone up in the top four can get a good start off the start and possibly break DRS to the cars behind, that is really going to prove crucial in this race, because obviously if you don't have DRS, you are going to be losing tenths, possibly even a second a lap. So I think the start is definitely going to be a crucial one, and turn one at this track is very difficult for going side by side. If you have the inside line, you usually have to cut the corner quite a bit and usually take a warning to actually leave enough space for the car on the outside. And if you're on the outside, you have to do the same. You have to go quite wide and sometimes take a warning to leave this space. But I definitely think it's going to be an exciting one. Group 2 has always delivered a spectacle in Season 1 and now in Season 2. But my question to you, IRS Pro Striker, he really slowed down there at the end, and we saw him go, I think it was fourth gear on the run down to turn 4, and that is usually how fast you can go when you're in low fuel mode. So do you think that's what happened, or do you think he just made a very big mistake and his tires were overheated? What do you think happened there with IRS Pro Striker?
I'm not particularly sure. I think I have to look back at everything and see what exactly happened, why there was that spin for him. It seems like there was overheating, maybe. It seems like he spun and then it just wasn't the same after that. I'm not exactly sure, because it seems like after he spun at turn 3, he wasn't able to accelerate as much as previously was. So yeah, maybe that was the case. I don't know exactly. It kind of looked like he had a puncture, but I don't think he had a puncture. I think our statement there would be backed up by him saying, "I got a puncture" in the chat or something like that, which he didn't. So yeah, so I don't know. I think he may have spun, and I think maybe he just overheated the tires and maybe was trying to conserve those tires to the end of the Grand Prix. Not exactly sure, but that's my hypothesis on that. I cannot speak for some reason.
Yeah, well, we're obviously going to be waiting a little bit longer for the admins to set up the grid, and a lot of the drivers actually seem to leave there. One of those drivers being Elian Bayan, who's left the lobby and for some reason isn't coming back. I don't know. Sometimes when there is a sprint race, they do get confused and leave the lobby after the actual sprint race. But there, as you can see, Elian is now back into the session. We now have 15 drivers. I think everyone is in the lobby, if I'm not mistaken, and all they have to do now is set up the grid, and we'll hopefully be back under racing conditions quite soon. But Ikos Yuki on pole, I'm just trying to remember the grids here. King Benny in P2. We had quick killers and Ellie and Bayan battling it out for P4 and 5 because of those 9 seconds of time penalties. And you saw from Danny Boy a perfect example. If you can keep it clean, consistent, and if you can keep it within those white lines, you are going to gain yourself a lot of positions, because Danny Boy, if I'm not mistaken, he jumped from P5 to P3 just because he didn't have as many penalties as the rest of the grid. And that's kind of the same with Ikos Yuki and King Benny. They both didn't get penalties. If Ikos Yuki had gotten a penalty or two, that would have really set him back and probably would have lost out on pole position. So these drivers obviously really need to stay in the track limits and keep it consistent. But I think the grid might be ready soon enough. and some people are starting to ready up. So let's see if we're getting back to racing. Wayne, actually looked like someone in the chat there. I think that was Troye asked if they can reserve, and if that's the Troye I'm thinking of, he's a bit too fast for Group 2. So yeah, I think we're just gonna wait a minute or two for the grid to actually be set up, and we'll be back to you in a few minutes.
Oh, and real quickly, just to confirm, I think Pro Striker had low fuel. That's why he was going slowly. He said he underfueled, thinking that there was a safety car. And I guess he ran out of fuel in the final lap. Maybe he spun it and then ran out of fuel exactly the same time. But he did confirm to me that he did run out of fuel in the final lap.
Yeah, and I guess that's fair enough. Underfueling the car. Obviously, it was wet conditions off the start, and he was obviously predicting a safety car. And now that I actually think of it, I'm extremely surprised that there wasn't. Drivers were able to keep it clean, and there were 0 safety cars in those wet conditions. Even off at the start, trying to get the best traction, trying to make as many moves into turn 1 and 3 as possible. But surprisingly, I don't think there was a DNF either. So we'll see if all 16 drivers can survive this 50% race, and if there is actually any safety cars in this race. It's definitely going to be interesting to see, as yeah, now just noticing that fact, I think that's very impressive for an entire lobby to actually not get a safety car in wet conditions. So yeah, I think Group 2 is definitely a great group, and I'm so glad to be commentating alongside you for this group. But it now looks like the lobby is ready to get underway. A couple of people now readying up, and I think we're about to get racing, as the admins have now told us to ready up. So we'll be getting out on track soon and getting ready for the formation lap. And the drivers trying to get their tires heated up and in perfect condition for this 50% race. Actually coming into this race, quick update on the standings. Ikos Yuki in the lead of the standings with around 50 points. And his closest contender is Elian Bayan, 26 points, if I'm not mistaken, 24 points. Mix Mango in third with 19 points. It's actually quite a tight battle between the midfield, with Mix Mango having, or SL Mango as his PSN is, he has 19 points, and Worried Cloud in P10 in the standings has 10 points. So the midfield is quite close in this group, and Ikos Yuki is absolutely running away with the championship currently. So let's see if King Benny, Danny Boy, Elian Bayan, and Quick Killers can all bring the battle to him. But yeah, coming onto this formation lap, we're about to load onto the track, and it looks like dry conditions. So Jonah, like you said before, we are going to have the DRS, and do you think there's going to be plenty more overtaking?
Oh, absolutely. I think we're definitely going to get some overtaking, many more. I think Austria is famed for having one of the most places to overtake on track. There's 3 DRS zones, and there's clear skies as well, so that just confirms our thoughts on the DRS. So, DRS zones in between turn 10 and turn 1. Not too many overtaking opportunities into the first turn, but it is a DRS zone, and you can make an overtake. The best place to make an overtake would be down into the heavy braking zone at turn 3. But there's also a back straight as well in between the hairpin at turn 3 and that long run down to turn 4, so watch out for drivers doing that. And there's a few more places throughout the lap, especially in Sector 2, for drivers to go side by side. We saw that in the sprint race as well. But yeah, super excited to get the racing underway here in LSR. You mentioned a great fact that there was no DNFs the entire sprint race, which was just incredible to witness. I mean, this group has come along so nicely. It's kind of turned into the sister division to Group 1. As Group 1 used to be like kind of the fastest tier, and now Group 2 is more the secondary tier. You know, it's not, or it's it's not the secondary tier. That's what I meant to say. It's more of a sister tier to Group 1 in terms of pace and all that sort of thing. But anyway, we are getting ready to go for the Grand Prix now. A lot of action coming our way as Yuki leading away this one. Keen Benny P2, Danny Boy P3, Quick Killers P4, Alien Bine is P5, Not Sir Vapor P6, Mango P7, Zooty P8, Danny P9, Breakfast King P10, and then it's Zayak, Worried Cloud, Pro Striker, Acid Masters, and Husky and Deary rounding off the grid for AlphaTauri and McLaren. So, yeah, we get the racing underway. 3 rounds into it. We had a great race in Belgium, great race in Italy, and now we head to Austria. And then next week, we're also heading to France, a brand new track on the grid here in Season 2. There's a lot of new stuff coming into Season 2 as we begin the new tracks that we haven't visited before. We visited Belgium and Italy before in Season 1, but in Season 2, we'll be visiting a few new tracks. 4 in a row: Austria, France, USA, and Hungary, I do believe. Those are the 4 new tracks that are coming straight into it. And then, of course, we also have Jeddah later on in the season. But anyway, we are ready to go for the racing here today. We are ready to go for the 3rd round of LSR's Group 2, the 2nd division of the F1 tiers. And more games. I'm going to allow you to take us away for the 5 red lights before we get this racing started here in Group 2 at the Red Bull Ring.
Alrighty, well, the drivers are now just finishing up aligning up on the grid. And it looks like quite a few split strategies here at this Austrian Grand Prix. We have the top 4 all on mediums, and a couple of other people on mediums in the grid. And I think Alien, Not Sir Vapor, and Mango are going to get quite a good start on those soft compound tires. But it's definitely going to be interesting to see. Everyone is now lined up on the grid. Ekos Yuki starting on pole position on those medium compound tires. We have 4 red lights, 5 red lights. They're gone and we're away. And what kind of start is it for the pole sitter, Ekos Yuki? It looks like quite a nice start. Down into turn 1. King Benny has a look down the inside, but he can't commit to that move. It looks like Danny Boy maintaining P3. Not Sir Vapor moving all the way up into P5, as it looks like Elian and SL Mango going side by side, and so is King Benny and Ekos Yuki. King Benny trying to go around the outside into turn 3, but then tries to go for the switchback. Can't make it work. Not Sir Vapor making the move up into P4 on Quick Killers. Is Quick Killers going to fight back into turn 4? And looks like the answer is yes. Can he go around the outside on these medium compound tires? He tries to go for the switchback, but he can't get that exit. It was quite a tight line there from Not Sir Vapor. Elian losing so many positions off the start. He is now going side by side with Danny Stillers, but it looks like he's gotten the better of him on those soft compound tires, but he's lost a lot of positions off of that race start. And Not Sir Vapor moving all the way up into P3 on those soft compound tires. He's going to have a lot more pace at this stage of the Grand Prix, so he's really going to have to use those tires while he has them. It looks like IRS Pro Striker is now up into P9 and is looking for a move on Danny Stillers. He's on those medium compound tires, and is he going to be looking for a move anytime soon? As it looks like SL Mango with those soft compound tires getting quite close to the back of Quick Killers. Is he going to be looking for a move into turn 2? Yes, he goes down the inside, has the inside line for turn 3 as well. And Quick Killers tries to fight back, tries to go for that switchback. Can he get a good exit? But it looks like he's actually spun the wheels too much there, and it's a big crash at turn 3. And it looks like he's still in this session, so he hasn't retired, but he's lost his entire front wing, and he is going to have to make his way back to the pit lane. But yeah, he was really trying to go for that switchback there on SL Mango. Didn't want to give up the position, and obviously when he tried to get that better exit, he just spun the wheels a little bit too much, so he is now down into P16 there. And SL Mango and Not Sir Vapor both having great starts. SL Mango up into P5, with Not Sir Vapor taking P4 in this race. And it looks like Ekos Yuki saying the fast lap of the Grand Prix, but the DRS is now going to be enabled, and King Benny is right on the back of Ekos Yuki. He's been able to stay with Ekos Yuki all the way up until this DRS is enabled. So Jonah, now that this DRS is enabled, do you think Ekos Yuki is going to be under a lot more pressure?
Oh, absolutely. I think he's gonna be under pressure, but I think he's gonna handle it really well. We know Yuki. We know that he's got the pace, and we know he's got the talent to be able to defend like crazy. You know, he's such a good defender and overtaker as well. But at the same time, we've seen pace from Benny as well. So this is gonna get really interesting. I cannot wait to see what happens. Also, keep an eye on Not Sir Vapor as well in that Mercedes. He's been flying today. He's on the soft compound tires, faster than anyone else in the top 3, and so he's gonna be flying out there. And I think he's definitely got the pace to be able to get up there. Yellow flag in sector 2. That is for, I think, the McLaren or an Aston Martin. Breakfast King has unfortunately moved down to P13. Not been the greatest start for the Aston Martin, but he's going to try and make the move on Danny. He looked for the move, but didn't go for it. He looked for the overtake, but of course couldn't get that overtake at that particular turn, so he'll wait for a little bit longer to see if he'll be able to get that overtake soon enough. DRS enabled for the Aston. He's going to try it to the inside of turn 1, but doesn't get the overtake. Husky in the second AlphaTauri is right there as well. Great battle here for P12, but we'll keep an eye on that a little bit because we have a Red Bull and a Mercedes spin around. That's Mango and Not Sir Vapor making contact. I think there was just a little bit too much contact there. Mango spinning around, and that is it for the Red Bull driver in today's particular, or this particular lap, as he's going to have to make a great recovery. That was not good, what happened there to Mango. The stewards will definitely look into that, but yeah, super unfortunate to see Mango spinning off there and down to P11. He's still in the race, still in contention for some great top 5 performances and maybe even a podium in today's race, but that is going to severely cost him a lot as Deary has rejoined the session. I think he's been having some internet issues a little bit. So it's affected his race just a tad there, but it is all good. Yellow flag, as that is the Haas of Zayak spinning around at turn 9 as well. Unfortunate to see the Haas driver out of that particular battle that he was in. I think he was in the battle for P11, which is going to hurt him a little bit. So Not Sir Vapor is looking to make the overtake on Elian Bayan. The 2 admins of LSR are going to go trying to make it side by side down into turn 3. Not Sir Vapor goes for the overtake. Elian down to P5 for now, but the Ferrari will look to get the better traction. He does, but Not Sir Vapor just got a really good exit out of there as well, so they continue on for quite a ways in this Grand Prix. We'll see them continuing that battle there. Meanwhile, Danny Boy in this battle for P1, Benny right behind Yuki. Now this is a 3-way fight for first, and meanwhile, Not Sir Vapor and Elian have been battling it out. They have lost a little bit of time to the front runners in today's race, and they're going to have to make sure that they regain that time and start challenging for the race victory and use those softs up well while they have the chance to do that, as it looks like we have Acid Masters making him, or Zudi off the track. What happened to Zudi?
It looks like Zudi's actually coming to the pit lane there. I think he might have made a mistake into the second last turn, but he's coming into the pit lane. Is this for front wing repairs? It might be, because it's quite an early lap to box on. But no, it looks like he's actually going onto the soft compound tires, so it looks like... Oh no, he's also gotten the front wing change, so yeah, it looks like he is going to be on the 2-stop in this race, sadly having to box quite early. But we thankfully, as Breakfast King trying to go around the outside of Danny Stillers into turn 3 there, as we just catch that battle, and Gary also trying to get into the battle on his soft compound tires. But is he going to be looking for a move around the outside? Yes, he is. He tries to go around the outside of Danny Stillers into turn 4. There's a little bit of wheels banging there. Danny Stillers really getting pinched on the inside there. It's a lot of wheel banging coming into turn 5 now. Danny Stillers just about leaving the space for Breakfast King. Breakfast King gets quite a good exit out of there. And can he make the move? It looks like he's just about gotten ahead. He is now up into P9. Is Derry going to be looking for the move on Danny Stillers? It actually looks like the Ferrari of Eliam going quite slowly, and it looks like he's made a mistake in the middle sector. He's now dropped all the way down to P11. I'm not too sure what's happened there, but he's lost a lot of time to the drivers ahead of him. And that's a real shame to see. He's now down to P11. It looks like Derry is having a go down the inside into turn 1 on Danny Stillers, but it does not look like he can make that move stick. Is he going to be trying again into turn 3? It looks like he's going to have the inside line for turn 2, which then turns the outside line for turn 3. and he's getting boxed in by Breakfast King up ahead. So he's compromised his exit, and he's actually gotten quite a bit of wheel spin there, and actually his tyre hits into the side of Danny Stillers, and Danny Stillers probably saved him from a spin there, and Derry goes for a massive dive bomb into turn 4 and almost makes it work, but got up on the grass there, and that's compromised his exit. Elian trying to take advantage of this and overtake Derry, and Derry has a little look down the inside of Danny Stiller into turn 5, but he cannot make that move stick. He's a little bit too far behind to make that move, and he is going to maintain P10 for now, but Elian is going to be looking to try and get past these guys as soon as possible to try and start his recovery. And it looks like Derry goes a bit wide there, as that's compromised Elian's line a little bit, but we actually got a camera shot of what happened to Estelle Mango, and it looked like Not Sir Vapor was pushing him very hard on the exit of turn 3, and he actually ended up clipping Mango was on the outside line. He actually clipped Mango's inside right tyre as Elian now goes down the inside into turn 3 on Derry. Can Derry hold it around the outside? It looks like Elian gotten some quite nice traction out of turn 3, but it does not look like he's making this move stick so far, as it looks like Danny Stiller and Breakfast King also going side by side into turn 4. It looks like Elian with the inside line is going to make that move stick on Derry out of turn 4 now, and his eyes are now set on Breakfast King in that Aston Martin, and he's still on these soft compound tyres, which I think are quite a bit faster than the mediums at this stage of the Grand Prix, so he's going to have a little more grip and kind of use that to his advantage, as Breakfast King is almost outside of the DRS of Danny Stiller up ahead of him. It looks like he's actually lost the DRS. Has he gone back in for the detection point? And I think he's just about gotten it, and across the DRS line it looks like he doesn't have the DRS coming down to turn 1. Can Elian take advantage of this? He's going to stay behind for now, but he maybe should have made his move now, or going into turn 1, because Breakfast King now has the DRS on the run down into turn 3. But Elian still has a lot of DRS to play with, so he's going to take the outside line for turn 3, and Breakfast King actually breaks quite a bit early to let him through there, and that actually compromised Derry's line quite heavily there. So Elian really trying to start his recovery and gain back as many positions as possible. As Derry actually goes down the inside there and gives Breakfast King the big squeeze into turn 4, and that's lost Breakfast King quite a lot of time, and Derry is actually outside of the DRS of Elian. He's actually made a mistake on turn 5. He's gotten too much on the curb, and that has actually, he's lost the car, and that is going to bring out the yellow flags in the middle sector, and he is now out of the battle for P8. He's now fallen all the way down to P12, and SL Mango is actually on the back of him now and is going to get DRS for the pit straight. But it looks like the top 3 aren't making too many moves with each other, as Elian Byrne actually makes the move on Danny Stiller, but Danny Stiller braking a bit too late into turn 1. He's actually made contact with the back of Elian. Has he gotten any wing damage? I don't think he has, but we'll be able to see if he boxes at the end of the lap. He tries to go for the outside line into turn 3, but he's a bit too far back to go for a move on Elian there, and it looks like King Benny is actually getting quite close to the back of Ekos Yuki. Is he starting to push, because the top 3 haven't changed positions for this entire race, but on lap 10 it looks like King Benny is getting quite close to the back of Ekos Yuki, and will he be looking for a move soon enough? It looks like he's charged up quite a bit of his ERS, whereas Ekos Yuki is down to just 20%. He's been pushing nice and hard, so we're going to ride on board with King Benny. Is he going to be looking for a move into turn 3 is the big question. He has the DRS and he has plenty of ERS to play with, but for now, at this stage of the Grand Prix, it looks like he is just going to maintain his position and save up even more ERS behind Ekos Yuki. But what do you think of that battle for P8 in this race, as that was very intense between Ellie and Danny, Breakfast King and Derry?
Well, I gotta say, that was just historic racing, really. I think that's gonna be going down in the LSR history books of that battle for P8. That was just great. I think they kept it clean, they kept it going. I think Deary made a little mistake, I think, at, what was it, on Breakfast, I think, which is a little unfortunate to see. It seems like that particular lap didn't really go well for him, but it's all good, as there is Monster Vapor out of the race! A crash with the Mercedes driver, that is him out of the Grand Prix! Monster Vapor out! and that is the first retirement of the Grand Prix. That's a VSC that has been deployed. It was going all so well for Not Sir Vapor. We can see the Mercedes driver hitting the wall at the exit of turn 6. I think he got too much on the curbs to the right there and spun, and Not Sir Vapor is out of the Grand Prix. It is now a full course safety car that has now been deployed. VSC has turned into a full course safety car, and the top 4 have all stayed out on track. Acid Masters, Worry Cloud, and Alien Bayern all into the pit lane, and this has just helped out their strategy because everyone else thought it was a VSC, and these guys were at the perfect opportunity for when the organizers of the game decided to change it to a full course safety car. So that is incredibly surprising, and that gives the perfect opportunity for drivers that were sort of in that battle for P8 to get into the action for the battle for not just the top 5, but even the race victory.
Yeah, and that's actually benefited anyone who is still on the soft compound tires and anyone who made a mistake in the opening laps. As you can see, SL Mango is up to P11, Zayek down in P15, but he is going to actually be able to catch up to the rest of the grid because of this safety car. And anyone who started on the soft compound tire is going to be benefiting massively from this because they have to box. They don't have to box for the rest of the race, but it looks like Ecos Yuki has actually come into the pit lane for a set of soft compound tires, which he is going to take 23 laps into this race, unless he is banking on another safety car or going for a 2-stop, but he is going onto those soft tires. And is this the right strategy from Ecos Yuki? He had to do something because everyone on soft compound tires is now on fresh medium tires and is going to be going to the end of the Grand Prix. But can Ecos take these soft tires 23 laps? I don't think he can. And even if he could, he would have absolutely no pace towards the end of this race. But he had to react somehow. So I think Ecos Yuki is going to be going for a 2-stop strategy in this Grand Prix. Danny Boy and Breakfast King are the only 2 drivers that have actually stayed out on the medium compound tires and are going to be waiting and actually sticking with their strategy that they decided on before the Grand Prix. So Ecos Yuki and King Benny both boxing for the soft compound tires. Once Ecos Yuki actually came into the pit lane, King Benny had no choice but to box because if he stayed out, he would have been under serious pressure from the driver who's actually challenging for the win in this Grand Prix. So he really had to go with a bit of a copycat strategy. But it looks like King Benny has come into the pit lane once again. I think I know exactly what he's doing. He's come onto the soft compound tires just to come onto the medium tires. And this now means that he doesn't have to make another pit stop in this race because he's already used 2 different compound of tires. So he is going to be going onto the mediums. He's going to lose quite a bit of track position, but this now means that he does not have to stop again in this race. And Ecos Yuki will have to stop again. So I think King Benny that's a really smart strategy. I don't think I've ever seen any driver do that before. And I don't know why they've never thought of it, because that is an absolutely genius strategy. And this could win King Benny the Grand Prix, but we'll have to see how that all plays out. But Jonah, what do you think of the strategy so far, and especially concerning the top 3?
Clever. I want to say clever from a lot of drivers here today, especially King Benny. That is a very interesting strategy, and I gotta agree with what you said here. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen that before, but I'm surprised that no one else has tried it. I'm the same as you, because that is a very good strategy from King Benny, and that could work out in his favor quite a bit. And going back to Yuki's strategy, and same with Worried Cloud, both drivers will have to pit again. There's no way they'll make that those offs to the end of the race. They'll have to pit again. Breakfast King, Danny Boy running P1, P3. This is great for them. Acid Masters up to 4th position and on for a podium, actually, which would be great for the reserve Alpine driver. But I gotta say, this is good because this is a great restart for everyone. This gets Quick Killer, Zudi, Mango, all those drivers back into the race after their little incidents, as we have I think the 5-second penalty there for Quick Killers. Not exactly sure why, but safety car is going in this lap. Let's see where Danny Boy goes. And he goes now. Gets a good exit. Yuki gets the better one, though. He gets a better one, though. Danny's going to try and defend all the way to turn 1. Yuki's keeping it going. Keep it clean. Keep it clean, guys. Yuki gets ahead, but goes very, very wide. Very, very wide. And he might get a penalty later on for that, as that was very wide for the Mercedes driver. Breakfast King might be going for, and he's going to let Danny by. He's going to let Danny by there, as Acid Masters is now going to go for the move as well. Oh, Yuki and Danny contact once again. Something happened between the two there. That was not good, but now the Alpines find each other on the same tarmac, as Acid Masters and Danny will be going wheel to wheel, but there was contact there. Yuki let Danny by. He let Danny by, but then I think there was something that happened there at the exit of turn 3, and Yuki and Danny did make contact there. I hope Danny did not get damaged, or I hope Yuki did not get damaged. It doesn't look like either do have damage, so that's good, but yeah, that did lose Danny a position there, which is not the best, as King Benny has moved up into P8. That's great for him. Elian is now going to try to make the move on Breakfast King, who's falling down the order a little bit, I'd say. That's just down to tires, though. We know Breakfast King is pretty quick, but those tires are not going to work out very well for the Aston Martin at this particular stage compared to the other drivers who are fresher compound tires. As Zudi, I think, is spun off, and Quick Clears has also gone down the order as well, so both drivers have not had the greatest start to the safety car. 20 laps remain. Breakfast King and Elian side by side. We also have Danny and Pro Striker side by side as well. Switchback maneuver for Danny, as he's going to try and make that move on Pro Striker. No DRS enabled quite yet. The Red Bull is going to try and keep ahead. Danny going to the outside line. Pro Striker gives him the space. Danny's going to try and keep it going, but Pro Striker gets the overtake. Worry Cloud also in the fight, as well as the Williams driver is going to try and get into the top 5 battles. Quick Killers is out of the race. He is retired in the pit lane. Maybe he thought he was just too far down the grid and couldn't recover from that one, which is understandable. It's not the best of a start to his season here in LSR, but he'll come back stronger in the next one in France. But Danny Boy, Worried Cloud have a great battle right now. Elian and King Benny in the great battle here is Breakfast King P8 right now with Danny in the AlphaTauri. So both drivers will be battling it out for P8 in this current Grand Prix, in this current position changes. Oh, Worry Cloud and Danny side by side, as the Williams of King Benny might get involved as well. Both Williams drivers are trying to make this possibly 3 wide. Let's see, Danny and Worry Cloud side by side. King Benny's going to stick behind. These two are going to fight it out. Danny goes a little bit wide, though. King Benny might get into the battle here, as they're now going 3 wide. They're now going 3 wide. Down to turn 4. The two Williams are side by side. Danny trying to get in the mix as well. There's not a lot of space, though, as it looks like Worried Cloud will just squeeze ahead of his teammate, but King Benny coming back at him. Here goes the second Williams. The two Williams drivers side by side coming down into turn 5, and round the outside goes King Benny on his teammates. And these two will continue their battle, as it looks like King Benny will get ahead. And that is just great racing between the two Williams drivers, as both drivers on similar pace, I would say, as Worried Cloud and King Benny will continue their battle, as well as Danny and Elian all in the fight for the podium positions.
Yeah, and that's a lot of action off the restart there. So it looks like there's more. Elian has actually made the overtake on Danny before the braking zone coming into turn 1. But Acid Masters is the big story. He's up into P2 and he's managing to stay in the DRS of Ikos Yuki. But we're now watching the two Williams go side by side once again. But Elian is trying to get into this battle. He's actually got a compromised exit. Danny is now going to try and get the better traction. Can he make a move down the inside into turn 4, as these two drivers are going to go side by side? Looks like a yellow flag for Derry, who's spun at turn 3, and it looks like Elian is going to try and go for the switchback here. Danny's gone quite wide off the exit of turn 4 into turn 5 now. Danny has the inside line. Can Elian hold it around the outside? And looks like just about giving each other enough space there, and Elian is going to come out on top. It actually looks like Danny has spun at turn 6, and he's going to have to wait for the rest of the drivers to go past, and it looks like he's really overheating those rear tires, as doing donuts out on track, and his tires are going to be absolutely cooked, and I think he's going to have to come into the pit lane for some fresh soft compound tires. But Yeah, it looks like Acid Masters up into P2, and he was hanging on to the DRS of Ecos Yuki for a little while, but he's now dropped outside of the DRS. IRS Pro Striker, as we actually see the Williams go side by side once again. It looks like King Benny has actually let Worried Cloud through here, maybe because he thinks he can overtake Worried Cloud coming into turn 4, and let's see if he can. He has the DRS, and it looks like he has the inside line for turn 4, and he's going to make that move stick on Worried Cloud unless Worried Cloud can get a better exit. It does not look like he does. So King Benny is now up into P4 on those medium compound tires. So right now Ecos Yuki has one more stop to make. Acid Masters has 0 stops to make, so he is in the net lead in this Grand Prix. Iris Pro Striker, if you were keeping a close eye, actually started on the medium compound tire, so he has to make another stop in this Grand Prix. King Benny in P4 with 0 seconds of time penalties. He's put that Williams in a great position in this Grand Prix. Worry Cloud has to make another stop because he is on those soft compound tires. Elian in P6 on those mediums going to the end of the race along with SL Mango. Danny Stillers has actually gone for the hard compound tire strategy, and that'll definitely take him to the end of the Grand Prix. Worry Cloud now going to try and overtake King Benny, and it looks like we're going to have a repeat of lap 19. King Benny lets Worry Cloud through, and with the power of the DRS is going to try and re-overtake him into turn 4, but it looks like Worry Cloud has actually predicted this, and he's used a little bit more of his ERS, and he is going to maintain P4 on lap 20. And it looks like a great battle with these two Williams drivers, and it looks like Williams are going to be scoring some quite big points in this Grand Prix, with P4 and P5 at this stage of the Grand Prix, with 2 drivers ahead of them still having to box in this race. So it's definitely going to be interesting strategy-wise, as I think we're going to see a few pit stops soon enough between Ecos Yuki and Iris Pro Striker. It looks like Worried Cloud has gotten on the power a bit too early out of the final turn, and he has completely broken his front wing, and he now has to do an entire lap to get back to the pit lane to repair that front wing. But I think he put the overtake on a bit too early, and that's caused him a lot of wheel spin out of the final turn. He is now down to P10 and is going to lose even more positions because he has to repair his wing, and that is such a shame to see the two Williams drivers pushing each other maybe a little bit too hard. Worry Cloud was really trying to maintain that position, and has now lost his front wing and is essentially out of the battle for the lead of this Grand Prix, what it would have been in the next few laps. So that is definitely a shame to see. But King Benny is now uncontested for P4 in this race, and if he can stay with Acid Masters, he could have an easy win in his debut race in Lightning Speed Racing. That would definitely be amazing to see. But there's actually quite a battle here going on for P7, and as that battle was going on, it looks like Derry, another driver who was pushing nice and hard to try and make up a few positions, he has spun on the exit of turn 5, and he is now down into P9, and that's going to lose him quite a bit of time and positions. Breakfast King is now on the back of Danny Stillers, who is on those hard compound tires, and Breakfast King is on quite old medium compound tires, so he is going to have to box quite soon for some soft compound tires. But it looks like Iris Pro Striker has now caught up to the back of Acid Masters, who's now lost to about a 3.3 second gap to Ecos Yuki ahead of him. But now that Iris Pro Striker is going to have the power of the DRS for the next lap, let's see if he makes an overtake into turn 1, turn 3 or turn 4, as there are 3 DRS zones in a row. And it also looks like a lot of drivers are now breaking into the DRS of other drivers. SL Mango is now in the DRS of Alien Bayern, and this is going to be the battle for P5 between these two drivers. But we are now going to ride on board with Iris Pro Striker, who gets very close to the back of Acid Masters coming out of turn 1, and it does not look like he's using any of his ERS. So now that he's actually caught up to the DRS of Acid Masters, he's just going to hang on in that DRS and save up a little bit of his battery, and possibly go for a big push lap or two in a few laps time. But he still has to box, and so does Ecos Yuki, and there's only 13 laps to go, so they're going to be thinking about boxing in possibly the next 3 laps or so. and it's definitely going to be interesting to see when they actually box. It looks like Breakfast King has just come out of the pit lane, and as I was saying, it looks like he's actually going to go side by side with Zayek into turn 3. Zayek trying to hold his line around the outside, but tries to go for a bit of a switchback there, but he can't make that move stick, and he actually gets some great traction out of turn 3 using second gear as well, so that's amazing to see. Is he going to go down the inside into turn 4? It looks like the answer is yes, and looks like a little bit of contact there between the Haas and the Aston Martin, but thankfully no wing damage, I don't think. So Breakfast King on these fresh soft compound tires is going to want to get past Zayek as quickly as possible, as it looks like IRS Pro Striker is now going side by side into turn 3 with Acid Masters, and it looks like he's going to make that move stick. SL Mango also making moves. He is up into P5, and it looks like a lot of action happening on lap 24, and it looks like Acid Masters with the power of the DRS is actually going to overtake Pro Striker coming into turn 4, so he's going to maintain P2 in this race, but this battling is allowing Ikos Yuki to run away and possibly make the 2-stop work in this race. We'll have to see how that evolves. King Benny has now caught up to the top 3, and will be looking to battle it out for podium in this Grand Prix. SL Mango has gotten ahead of Ellie, and it looks like there could be a DRS train soon enough from P2 to P6 if SL Mango pushes hard enough and can actually catch up to the top 4. But obviously top 4 all have DRS, so it's going to be quite hard for him to catch up that gap. But IRS Pro Striker is once again quite close to the back of Acid Masters, and he might be forced into a move by King Benny behind, or maybe he's going to stay behind, and yes, he's learned that if he stays behind he will get the DRS for the next straight, which will then allow him to overtake into turn 4, but he's now under quite a bit of pressure from King Benny behind. But since Acid Masters has no DRS, it looks like Iris Pro Striker is going to go down the inside, and so is King Benny into turn 4. So it looks like Acid Masters losing 2 positions coming out of turn 4 and is now down to P4. So with both of those drivers having the DRS, they were able to actually both overtake Acid Masters. It actually looks like Zayek has spun out of this race. I think he's gotten a bit too early on the power coming out of the pit lane, and we'll be able to see on board with Derry. And yeah, I think he came out of the pit lane there, or maybe he's just off of the exit of turn 1. He's crashed into the wall on the right hand side and is sadly out of this session. But the battle for P2 continues, and it looks like P6 and P2 are all on the DRS train. So how do you see this playing out? Obviously Ikos Yuki and Pro Striker both have to box again. Do you think they could possibly catch up the gap and battle it out for the lead of the Grand Prix?
Yeah, I think so. I think we're going to get a great battle here as we actually see King Benny going around the outside of Pro Striker. Here goes the Williams driver on the Red Bull driver. Similar pace as well between the two drivers, as King Benny is going to try and keep it going on Pro Striker. He gets the overtake, and Pro Striker moves down to 3rd position. So King Benny up into 2nd place now for Williams Racing. But yeah, I expect this battle to continue on to the end of the Grand Prix. We still have a few laps remaining. Pro Striker does have to come into the pit lane for sure. Yuki, if he continues, he might be able to take it to the end, but I don't see it happening. I mean, those tires are 13 laps old. They must be struggling. And so if Yuki stays out, he's definitely going to be in puncture territory. So this could turn into a very interesting end to the Grand Prix and a drama end to the Grand Prix. If Yuki maybe gets a puncture or something like that, we could see a last lap pass or something like that. But it's all up to Yuki. If he can be able to conserve those tires to the end of the Grand Prix, then he's got it. We'll find out. As Acid Masters and Mango swap positions. Acid goes a little bit wide on that particular corner. Pro Striker goes a little bit wide, and Mango is now up into P4, maybe even P3 as well, as the two Red Bulls might be having a nice battle here for 3rd position. This will continue on. Meanwhile, as we have Acid Masters going for the move on the Red Bull of Mango, there was a little bit too much contact there. Not exactly sure what happened between the two there, as Mango will still be in P4, Acid Masters in P5. I don't think there's any damage between the two there, but there was a little bit of contact there, which is a little unfortunate, but that is all good. That will continue on, or that won't continue on. The battle will continue on for these positions, as Pro Striker coming into the pit lane. Oh! And Mango does hit Pro Striker a bit there. I think he was taking the racing line, but Pro Striker was already in the pit lane. He was also taking the racing line, so Mango should have gone a little bit wider there. So the Red Bull driver does come into the pit lane for the soft compound tires. He's going to go down to P6, I do believe. I do believe Danny Stillers will be able to stay in P7 or maybe just get ahead of Pro Striker. We'll find out. As Acid Masters and Mango swap positions, Acid off the track. Something happened to the Alpine once again as Elian is going to try and make that move. Acid and Elian maybe going for the move as Acid cannot make the move on Mango. Of course, there's not enough space there as Elian is trying to get the better traction out of turn 4. Down to turn 5 and 6 and all that particular section of the track as we enter lap 28 as Yuki will cross the line in a few corners time and start lap 29 as we see a great battle for P4. Acid Masters and Elian Bayan will continue on with their great battle here. We also see Zudi and Worry Cloud having a great battle as well. Worry Cloud is going to try and get into the points, and he's going to try and make the move on Zuni into turn 3, and he does get the overtake on Zudi. And Worry Cloud moved himself up into P10 of the Grand Prix. So that's good. After that spin, it didn't really look great, but before that, it was looking great for Worry Cloud, so we know he's got pace around here. Just that spin didn't really help out his Grand Prix, which is unfortunate, but that is how it goes. So yeah, going back to Yuki for a second. He's on the soft tires that are 15 laps old. What are we thinking right now? Because, I mean, can he actually make it to the end of the Grand Prix, or is he going to have to pit?
I think he's going to try and stretch these tires, definitely. He's going to have to give it his best shot. He's going to lose a lot of pace towards the end and possibly get a puncture, so it could be a risky strategy. As you can see, King Benny is already starting to close down the gap slightly. So if Ecos Yuki can stay out of puncture territory and just lose a lot of pace, I think he's definitely going to take that trade-off. Elian Bayan actually made a mistake out of turn 3 and has lost a DRS to the top 4. And the same goes for Mango, who's apparently struggling for pace up against King Benny. He's lost a DRS, and it looks like all the drivers are starting to lose DRS to each other as they are now pushing very hard on lap 30 in this Grand Prix. We only have 7 laps to go in this race. And as you can see, King Benny has now got the gap down below 4 seconds. We slowly but surely gaining time. IRS Pro Striker on those soft compound tires has just set the fast lap of the Grand Prix of a 105.3, and I don't know if he'll be able to catch up the gap to the top 5, as it is a 12.8 second gap to Elian Bayan up ahead. But Acid Masters, a few laps ago, he went down the inside of Elian Bayan. We were actually riding on board, or not Elian Bayan, SL Mango. We were riding on board with SL Mango, and it looked like a mixture of a missed braking point and a bit of lag too, because Acid Masters went down the inside out of nowhere and made quite a bit of contact with the Mango. Mango is actually quite lucky not to lose his front wing, as it was quite heavy contact, and Mango almost scooping Acid Masters up into the air with his front wing. So those two drivers are definitely lucky not to have wing damage and still be battling it out for the podium in this Grand Prix. The gap between the top 2 is now 3.5 seconds. The gap has been closed down by about 4/10 on that last lap. And Ecos Yuki's tires is just going to slowly get worse and worse and worse. It looks like a spin in the middle sector. That's going to be Husky, who has spun on the exit of turn 5. He's managed to break his front wing as well. It looks like Zudi also made a mistake. So both of those drivers making a mistake and falling out of the points, which actually promotes Derry up into P10 and looking good for some points in this Grand Prix. And it looks like Husky is now getting lapped by the Mercedes of Ecos Yuki, but it's getting very close to the top now. It's really going to come down to the wire, and it looks like King Benny is continuing to close down that gap. It's now down to about just 3 seconds between the top 2, and it's really going to come to the end of the Grand Prix. We have 5 laps to go in this race, and SL Mango, it looks like he is actually going to put King Benny under quite a bit of pressure, but we'll have to see if he goes for the overtake, but it actually looks like he does. He looks like he goes around the outside, but he makes the move stick before the braking zone. And could these two drivers work together to possibly try and close down the gap to Ecos Yuki ahead of them? and they can both use each other's DRS to try and slingshot each other forward through the straight. As you can see, King Benny getting quite close to the back of SL Mango in the braking zone of turn 4. Could Acid Masters possibly pull himself back into the battle? Because right now the gap is now 2.4 seconds and there's 4 laps to go, and every single lap as the race goes on, Ikos Yuki is losing time, and a lot of time at that. So SL Mango is now 2.3 seconds behind. But as you can see, we're going to have a quick look at the penalties here, and it actually looks like Mango has 9 seconds of time penalties, which could cost him the race win, and it might be King Benny and Ikos Yuki, the only 2 drivers without penalties, battling it out for the lead and possibly the win at this Austrian Grand Prix. But it looks like King Benny has gotten a 3-second time penalty, and this could do wonders for Ikos Yuki. And like I said at the sprint race, keeping it within the track limits could gain you so many positions, and that is clearly showing itself. SL Mango, even though he's in P2, has 9 seconds of time penalties, and he will finish on the podium if these race results stay like this, but I don't think they will. I think SL Mango will catch Yuki before the end of the Grand Prix, but there's only so many laps to go. The gap is now below 2 seconds, but as Yuki is about to cross the line, there will only be 3 laps to go. So SL Mango will have to be pushing as hard as humanly possible to overtake Yuki towards the final lap of the Grand Prix. But even if he manages to do that, because of his penalties, it's going to cost him this race win. The gap is now down to 1.5 seconds. He is very close to getting the DRS of Ikos Yuki ahead of him, and he's either going to have it on the run down to turn 4, or he's definitely going to have it next lap. But King Benny will be trying to get ahead, and if King Benny can possibly break a gap to Ikos Yuki, that will be the only way that he can win this Grand Prix. And I think Mango's chances of winning definitely aren't that big, because obviously 9 seconds is quite a lot of time to break a gap to the drivers behind. But we'll have to see how this all plays out. SL Mango is just 1/10 off of that DRS, and coming through turn 5 now, and he gets a better exit into turn 6 and 7, and now the final sector. Oh, who's
Yuki
that?
made a mistake. Yuki made a mistake. Mango's gonna try and overtake. Yuki made a mistake. His tires are done. His tires are done. Watch the tires. His tires are struggling so much, and it seems like they're gonna pop anytime soon. Yuki did make a mistake, though. Mango is gonna go past, and to turn 1 we go. Mango takes over as race leader. He does have 9 seconds time penalties, though, which is gonna hurt his race, as King Benny is now right on the back. Yuki is now gonna have the DRS, but King Benny's gonna try and make the overtake as well. They're gonna try and go 3 wide. Down to turn 3 we go. It is 3 wide. Yuki and King Benny are side by side. Mango in the action as well. This is incredible to witness here. Mango gets past. Benny down to P3. Mango will now try and make the overtake on Yuki. Down to turn 4 we go. Yuki keeps ahead, but has to lift a little bit there because of the tires. We are now on the penultimate lap of the Grand Prix. Can King Benny re-overtake Yuki and Mango to get up into the race lead and get that 3-second gap? I don't think it's possible, but anything can happen in racing.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be an exciting final lap, as we are about to round out the final 2 corners and enter the final lap of the Grand Prix. I don't think the positions are going to change too heavily unless there's a big mistake from one of the drivers, but it's all about the glory for winning it on track. So coming down to turn 1 now, SL Mango actually lifts off of the accelerator coming into turn 1. So he's deciding not to make the move on Ikos Yuki, but he's actually made a mistake into turn 1. He's gone wide, and that has compromised him heavily. King Benny is now on the back of Ikos Yuki and looking to go around the outside into turn 3, but it does not look like he can make that move stick, because he goes for the switchback instead, and it looks like Ikos Yuki's tires are absolutely gone, and King Benny can make that switchback move work coming out of turn 3. He now has the lead of the Grand Prix. He's going to have to push like mad through these final 2 sectors to try and make a 3-second gap. Will it happen? Who knows? He's going to be pushing to the absolute maximum, but SL Mango is now on the back of Ikos Yuki. Will he be looking for a move into the final few turns? We'll have to see, as he's getting very close. There is not going to be any more DRS for the rest of this race as we enter the final two corners of the final lap of this Austrian Grand Prix, and it looks like King Benny is going to come across the line to win his debut race. Or no, it looks like because of his 3-second time penalty, I've completely forgotten, Ikos Yuki will take this win at Austria because of that 3-second time penalty. Ikos Yuki was able to make the medium soft strategy work, boxing very early for those soft compound tires, had absolutely no pace towards the end of the Grand Prix, but was able to keep it within the track limits throughout the Grand Prix, and that has won him this race. King Benny is going to be absolutely devastated. If I'm not mistaken, he got his final warning on lap 34, and if he had just kept it consistent for a few more laps, he could have won this race. But in a debut race in LSR, I'm sure he'll be happy with P2. SL Mango finishes out the podium, finishing P3 in this Grand Prix Aston Masters. I'm sure he'll also be very happy with that result. A reserve in this league, he comes P4, and that was an amazing race. And that is why I love every Saturday night coming to commentate on such an amazing division with such a talented group of drivers. But there is Ikos Yuki celebrating his third win in 3 races, and there are talks that he could be moved up to Group 1 after showing some brilliant pace in Group 2, and I'm sure he'll be able to compete at just the same level as the Group 1 drivers. And wow, what do you think of that race?
Well, that was absolutely incredible. That final lap was nail-biting. That's the word to say the least, to be honest, because that was very intense. I gotta say, one of the best final laps of Group 2 I have witnessed. But yeah, that's the results. Yuki comes out with his 3rd race win of the season, and fair play, he got that one. Really, he just did a great job. And 22 laps on the soft compound tires. That is unheard of. And he did it. So showing some incredible pace. He definitely deserves P1. Definitely got the pace for it. Definitely got the pace for Group 1 as well, as we did mention. So he could be going up to Group 1. We don't know about that. But yeah, Yuki, congrats on the victory. You definitely deserve that one. King Benny, what a debut for him in Group 2. We were talking about it earlier on. I think just on Tuesday, he joined the league, and we were doing a quick test to see how good he was, and he was really good in that test, and here he comes into Group 2, and he's P2 at the first race of the season. Very nearly got the race victory, and that was insanely close. It truly was. Mango P3 as well. Congrats to him on his 2nd podium this season. Definitely in the hunt for the championship. I think it's definitely going to be very close. Acid Masters, P4 as well. The reserve driver for Alpine gets a great results. As well as the reserve driver for Red Bull, Pro Striker, P5. Also, Elian grabbing some points for Ferrari on P6. It wasn't really Ferrari's day, as Electric Envy wasn't able to join us in today's session, but they still got some good points with Elian in the sprint race and the main race as well. Danny, P7 as well. Breakfast King, P8. Both get some great points for their respective teams. And then I think P9 was one of the McLarens, if I'm not mistaken. I don't remember 9th and 10th position off the top of my head. But that's the end of it. I think there is not much more to say. Just an incredible race. Absolutely phenomenal. And to answer your question, what did I think of the race? Well, I thought it was absolutely amazing, and I cannot wait for more. I think it's going to be absolutely incredible. And this is not the only race we're racing around in Austria, because, viewers, tomorrow we will have the Group 1 race. The fastest tier in LSR will be racing around here in Austria. So it's their turn for racing tomorrow. More Games and myself will be racing on that one. So cheer us on for that upcoming Grand Prix in Austria. But yeah, what an exciting race here in Group 2. Really was incredible, and I just can't wait for the next one.
Yeah, that was absolutely amazing race. Ikos Yuki, his 3rd win so far this season, and Elian Vine, the reigning champion in Group 2, only managing P6, so there is obviously a new level of competition in this 2nd season as more and more drivers actually join LSR, and Group 1 tomorrow, I'm sure everyone's excited for that, the fastest group in F1, and it's definitely going to be an exciting one. And at Austria as well. This if Group 2 can deliver a race like this, who knows what Group 1 has to offer. But that is going to be it, guys. I hope you did enjoy this stream and this absolutely this thriller of a Grand Prix. And I hope to see you tomorrow and in. Is it next week? Do we have a double header in LSR, if I'm not mistaken?
Yes, we do. We do have a doubleheader. Next week will be France, a brand new circuit we're heading to, the Paul Ricard circuit. We've never raced there in LSR history, so excited to be racing in Paul Ricard just next week. And that ends the double headers for the season, as well as we go back to normal for the circuit of the Americas, just the 2 weeks after that. Race in France, because we're going to be having the GT races and then F1, and that pattern consistently will go back and forth. So last doubleheader, but France is coming up. Can't wait for that one. I think all these drivers will be very excited for that upcoming race.
So there you go. It's going to be an action-packed weekend. Not only this weekend, but also next weekend. I hope you tune in for tomorrow's race and next week's 2 races. I'll be here for Group 2 commentary as always, and hopefully we can get Formula Jonah to commentate alongside me once again next week for Paul Ricard. But if you did enjoy, remember to like the stream, and if you really did enjoy, and if you want to get notifications and come back for the next streams, be sure to subscribe to LSR. And I think we're going to leave it off at that. And goodbye, everyone.